you had maybe a couple stories you were to share, but talk about maybe one of those stories that kind of relates to this that's already made an impact.
I had a life-changing opportunity to go to Cut Bank, Montana 2 years ago. I smile when I talk about it because it was a change in my soul. There was a shift that happened, which was a beautiful thing for me personally. I never could come back the same. And so, having the opportunity to be at Convoy and fly to Cut Bank, Montana, and meet with this farmer standing in a pea field about 40 miles east of Glacier National Park was just one of the most astounding moments. And he had previously donated to Convoy of Hope 3 truckloads of, well, 2 were of peas and 1 truckload of beans. And he really struggled with making that decision to kind of give up that land or give up that harvest of his. And he said one day he was sitting in his truck and just felt that calling from the Lord to do something. And he didn't know what that meant. And just a few days later, I had called him and said, "Hey, you don't know who I am. You had talked to someone at Convoy 6 years ago, but I'm just here to reconnect and see if there could ever be a desire maybe to jump back in and donate some peas again to Convoy." And he immediately broke into tears, sharing that he had just had this conversation with the Lord in his combine in the field, just the 2 of them. And so the timing of that was pretty incredible. But we stood in the field, and he had this huge 13-foot wide banner that said, "This field is dedicated to Convoy of Hope." And he's surrounded by the Herodites, which is a colony, very, very strict religious beliefs. It's very difficult to communicate with them. And that'll come up later in this quick little story. But he was in his field one day and could see across the mountain and that there was a storm coming in. And he was incredibly worried because they said there were supposed to be hail and high winds, and his harvest was just ready to be plowed. And he was, getting very worrisome about that. And his brother called him and said, "I don't know what we're going to do. We may lose the field." And so they just started praying over the field. And he starts crying when he tells me this and says, "Ashley, every feather of a field hawk was missing. And every stone of hail hit every field but my field. Not one single grain and not one single plant on my field was damaged. It went completely around my field." And that was the most beneficial, the greatest harvest, the healthiest harvest I have ever had in that field to date since being a farmer when my dad owned this land. And so I knew that because I dedicated this land to the Lord and made a promise that he protected that. And we harvested the acreage and loaded that up, and Convoy came and picked it up, sent it directly to Haiti. And somehow his pastor was in Haiti the same time it arrived and helped unload the truck of his harvest after dodging this huge hailstorm. And he's in tears sharing it. And so it just changed my view and my heart. And it just was an incredible experience to see the passion that he had and the promise and protection that he was given.
Yeah. And you said something about the religious group up there. Was there something?
Yeah. So I bring that up because the Herodites were angry. I mean, they were frustrated because all of their fields were completely damaged but his. So they came to him and asked, "What did you do? What could have happened for your field to be the only field in over 200 miles of farmland, and yours was the only one that was not damaged?" And it gave him the opportunity to share his testimony of why his field was the only field that was not damaged in the hailstorm.
Wow.
And so when I went to visit, they allowed me on their colony, on their farm, to come speak to them. And they also received a banner and dedicated acreage to donating to Convoy of Hope, which is unheard of for that specific.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
Praise God. That's awesome.
it, it was pretty crazy.